Hi guys, welcome back to Irish Footy Vlogs. Welcome back to another Premier Division show. And every week there's talking points. Every week there's drama. There's brilliant action in this league. And it's amazing when you look at the league table, isn't it? With 2 points between first and seventh, it's just incredible. Some teams have surprisingly come back into it. Some teams have dropped points recently. It's just incredible. If you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the channel, please, too. And what else? Like the video if you enjoy the content. Let's get into this one. So where else to start? But I have to start Daleyman Park. Well, Bohemians had a fantastic 2-1 win against St Patrick's Athletic. Did a matchday vlog for this one, especially if you're a Bowls fan. It's well worth a watch. Keep an eye on that if you can. But amazing game at Daleyman Park. And Pats will be bitterly disappointed with losing this game and how they lost the game as well, to be fair. But Bowes again showed great courage, great desire, great commitment, and played very well, I would say, in the second half mainly. First half, I suppose, both teams have opportunities and that, but you felt like Pats were the team in a bit more control, I think, in the first half, to be honest. Lake Kavanagh went off injured for Bowes and was replaced by Rob Cornwall, and that's another story later in this game, I guess. But Pats went in front in 23 minutes after a very good move down the right-hand side. Shelbourne gets in, does brilliantly, crosses into the box. Gretton has his hand out, and the referee points to the spot. It's a penalty for me. Letter of the law, it's a penalty. Gretton's a bit unlucky, of course he is. But it is a penalty. He's far enough away for the referee to give an actual handball. He's unlucky. He is unlucky, but it is a penalty, to be fair. And Chris Forrester tucks it away to give Pats the lead. Forrester goes off at half time. That's going to be a concern for Pats because personally I'm not hearing much about it. He did go off in a boot, which is a concern. And Pats early in the second half went to a 3 at the back as well. They lost complete control of this one in the second half, and Forrester was a big loss. But Bowes, would you say, ramped up the pressure? Pats sat back basically in the second half, which surprised me a little bit. And I don't know if it was the fear of Forrester going off or what, but you felt like Pats relinquished control to Bowes completely. And once that happens in a game, we all know momentums can shift. So even if, say, Bowes equalise early in that half, there's a good chance they go on to win the game because the momentum has shifted and Pats can't get out of that mentality that they're stuck in. And look, if they went and won with 1-0, people say, oh, look, they dug in and got a result and was a good result and all that kind of thing. But I thought Pats were asking for trouble in that regard. And Bowes, the more they got into it, if you like, in the second half, the more they believed, I think, that they could score. They didn't have loads of chances, you would say. But at the same time, they were Campton Pats' final third for most of the second half. And, okay, it took a last minute equaliser through Rob Cornwall, and then amazingly a goal from Sean Grennan in injury time to win it in the end. But at the same time, they deserved it for me. They deserved it. I think Pats got what they deserved, really, in the second half in that regard. And, Bowes got what they deserved, really, as well. And the Cornwall header, back post, totally unmarked, though. I don't know who's to blame or what's to blame for that goal necessarily from a Pats point of view, but it's very poor, isn't it, to leave Cornwall unmarked in that area of the pitch. But Cornwall does well, and he heads it home to give Bowes a deserved equaliser. And then the madness. First of all, Ross Tierney was fouled in the box by Barry Bagley. How it wasn't a penalty, I don't know, to be honest with you. It's a bizarre decision not to give that as a penalty. Now, the referee's view might have been obstructive, but that's no excuse for the linesman. The linesman was in a perfect view. I don't know how he doesn't give it, for sure. Bagley, that's poor, to be honest with you. It just takes Tierney out of it. And maybe systematic of a bit of panic seeped into Pats. And you could see it with the winner from Graham. I mean, Pats had a number of opportunities, didn't they, when you look back at it, to clear the ball. It's very poor defending, but great persistence by Bowes and Graham in particular. And he fires it home. And ultimately, Bowes got what they deserve. It's been an amazing week for Bowes with their comeback win against Rovers. And then to do this against Pats, because we've talked about soft underbellies, etc., etc. But a couple of players, James Clark, I thought, was excellent for Pats, for Bowes when he came on in the second half. I think he was really good for Bowes when he came on in that second half. And He kind of played off the left mainly, but left the centre. Tierney was good as well, but and as I said, they controlled the midfield completely in that second half with the likes of McManus in there as well. Brennan probably had a tough time, didn't he? He was starting there and he probably had a tough time in the game, but that's going to happen with young players, inconsistencies and stuff like that. And he was taken off after about an hour. I think he did struggle a bit in the game, but Bowes must be absolutely delighted with that. Absolutely fully deserved. Pats, very disappointing, really, and the way they set up in the second half was very disappointing, to be honest with you, from their point of view, and they got what they deserved, in my opinion. Oh, just before I go on that game, I wanted to mention the Breslin sending off. Forgot about that. First yellow, very harsh, in my opinion. He gets booked for time wasting, but he's actually not time wasting there. He's trying to take a throw in, and there's no movement. It's in the first half as well. Pats aren't in that mentality yet, as they were in the second half. It's funny because Anang was slowing the game down quite a bit, and Breslin got booked. It was the first time as well. Like, it wasn't like he did her over a few throw-ins, so very harsh to give him a yellow. Funnily enough, after that, Pats were taking throw-ins or rushing them, giving it away. Second yellow, definite yellow. He stopped the counter attack, so it's as simple as that. Second yellow was fair, but just forgot about that for a second. On to Galway United and Drogheda United now. So amazingly, Drogheda United are still top of the league, despite their defeat. Shelbourne, Shamrock Rovers, and St. Pat's had all had a chance to actually go ahead of Drogheda with a win. None of them did if Drogheda were to lose at Galway. So amazing stuff there, really, when you look at that too. But a massive win for Galway United. I did predict this in the show previous that Galway might win this game, and there was a game of few chances really in the first half, but Darren Markey scores a very good goal for Drogheda in the edge of the area, and lofts the ball in, it's deflected. Bolger does well to keep it alive actually for Drogheda, and it comes out to Markey, sits up nicely for him, but it's a lovely cushioned finish into the far corner that beats Brendan Clark to give Drogheda the lead. And Galway second half did have chances. I mean, Moses Dyer hits the bar, but an amazing 2 minutes sees Moses Dyer score a header. Too much power for Dennison, that header, from close range. He does his best to get to it, and then he slides in to make it 2-0 2 minutes later, or 2-1 2 minutes later, and amazing win for Galway. Moses Dyer has proven to be a massive coup. He's got 7 goals now for Galway United this season, and he's the top scorer in the league. We know how functional Galway United are and how difficult they are. You've always felt that if they could add a striker, and at the moment you'd have to say they're title contenders. I don't care what anyone says. At the moment they are title contenders. In theory, there's 7 title contenders at the moment. Let's be real. But yeah, I mean, they're so hard bet. They've only lost 2 games. If they lose, they tend to bounce back quickly, don't they? So it's a really, really good result. Good performance, but a good result as well. And particularly against Drogheda. You come from 1-0 down against Drogheda. You go 1-0 down against Drogheda. It's not easy to come back and get a win, no matter who you are. And Galway can really put the squeeze on teams and put teams under serious pressure. They can bombard you with pressure and intensity of play. And they did that to Drogheda. And from Drogheda's point of view, they had a chance at the end, Warren Davis. But I have to say, this is brilliant defending by Galway. Watch it again. I had a message from somebody saying it was a sitter from Davis. That's not a sitter. I've seen it. I hadn't seen it at the time, but it's not a sitter. It's a chance he could score from, clearly. But he has to hit it very, very quickly. Very quickly. The 2 Galway defenders come flashing out and make it as awkward. That's what you do, should be doing, as awkward as possible. If you can't get there, make it as awkward as possible. And that's decisive, and Davis blazing it over the bar, to be honest with you. Absolutely massive. And that's what you get from Galway, really. And you get that from Drogheda United too, as well. And Drogheda United be disappointed, but they've 2 home games coming up, I believe, don't they? Friday, Monday, Sligo Rovers anyway, and I think they might have Cork City. Don't quote me on that. They might have Cork City as well, but or is it Waterford, Cork or Waterford perhaps? But yeah, anyway, digressing a little bit there, but a great win for Galway United. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, Tile Stadium, a banger of a game. Shamrock Rovers 2, Shelburn 2. Very, very good game of football. This match was on TV. I watched this back in full, actually, and really, really good game. Could have went either way. I know Shelburn fans have said they should have won it, but so have Shamrock Rovers fans. I think a draw ultimately was probably fair enough in the end. Matt Healy gives Shamrock Rovers the lead in this particular game after... How many minutes does he give them the lead? actually. Sorry, I had it up there and it's gone. 28 minutes, and Kearns will be disappointed, but he's wrong footed. He thinks Healy's going into the far corner, and he cuts back into the near corner basically, and Kearns is wrong footed, so he can't get back. He's made the switch to try go that way. Normally, with a shot like that, to be fair, you're curling it into the position where Kearns is going. He's taking a chance, he's taking a gamble that hasn't paid off, to be honest. But 9 times out of 10, where Healy's hitting that and the way he's hitting it, it's gone into that far corner. And it catches Kearns out, and Shamrock Rovers take the lead there. Ali Coote's introduction was huge early in the second half, and it was good play again by Norris down the left-hand side. Good cross into the box. Harry Wood does well. He heads it back into a dangerous area. He knows Coote's coming onto it, and Coote sweeps it home to give Shells an equaliser. Mipo Odebeko scored again at 64 minutes. Brilliant cross by Ledwidge. Absolutely perfect. Mipo does well because he still have to finish, as we all know, and he does very well to connect to it and place it into the back of the net. But I think the delivery by Ledwidge was actually delicious, to be fair. Dan Cleary then equalises on 67 for Shamrock Rovers, and both teams had chances where they could have won the game. Danny Grant actually had a great chance, I thought. Unfortunately, he hits it straight at Kearns instead of trying to guide it into the corner. Either team could have won this game, to be honest with you. It's still interesting that Mark Coyle is still playing as centre back when you've Gannon. Gannon came on as a sub for Bone, but that's interesting. I don't know. I think you're losing something there. I think a little bit. I know Barrett's a big loss, but will he continue? Will he persist? Should he persist with Mark Coyle? That's a question for fans of Shelburne. But once again, another brilliant performance from Jack Byrne in the middle of the park. He's been excellent since he came back. Really, really good since he came back. Has put in some brilliant performances for Shamrock Rovers, and they'll be hoping to keep him fit. Rovers will be a little bit disappointed because that's 3 Dublin derbies in a row, and they picked up 1 point. They would have liked to have hit back with a victory here after the way they lost to Bows. Shells have had 3 2-2 draws in a row as well. So both teams are playing good football, I would say, overall, though, but they're conceding goals at the moment. Shells have had a lot of bits and pieces in terms of changing in defence and injuries and stuff like that. Rovers will be disappointed because they haven't really had that, and yet they're conceding goals. Lately, all of a sudden, they're conceding goals. They were very miserly for the first round of games, actually. I think they've conceded maybe 5 goals in the first round of games, and they've conceded 6 and 3. Something like that, anyway. It's, they'll be disappointed with that, and good game of football, and, who'd be the happier is the question. I suppose Shells was probably the away team, you'd probably have to say, are a little bit happier with the result, but both teams, will be looking to obviously win their next games because, you need 3 points. And it's funny because Drogheda losing points there, but Pats, Rovers and Shells have been very close to Drogheda. None of them have won their last 3 games. Interesting stuff there, but let me know what you think in the comments. Shamrock Rovers or Shelburne fan. Now, the RSC have finished Waterford FC 2, Derry City 1. Huge win for Waterford FC. Their first win. They went 7 games, a 7-game losing streak, so they did. And, the fans basically sent an open letter to the club or the players, and, it seemed to work here because the Waterford players seemed to play with a passion, a pride, a determination. And I think if they played like that and failed to win, they would have got applause from the fans. But the fact that they won was absolutely massive. Darragh Leahy giving them the lead in 40 minutes. Kind of comical, to be fair. Brian Maher's all over the shop, isn't he, for it? To be honest with you, he's all over the place for this. I'm not sure what he's at, but he comes out to try and claim the ball and misses it, and kind of misses it again, sort of a thing. But Leahy's there to give them the lead, and both teams did have chances in that first half. Derry City had their chances as well. Danny Mullen could have connected, or did connect, but could have put the ball in the back of the net after a brilliant cross from Michael Duffy. Podge Almond deflected goal in 65 minutes to give Waterford the 2-0 lead, and they defended well at times. Liam Boyce got a late goal in injury time where he was brave, actually winning the header and got a clobber for it, but he's brave. You have to be brave there. But unfortunately for Derry, it wasn't enough, and they'd be a little bit disappointed with the way they played. And it seems if you don't perform in an individual game in this league, you'll be beaten by whoever you play. Isn't that kind of the way? Especially if the other side plays okay. And Waterford was their most passionate performance in a good while. You know what I mean? And players like Conan Noonan stepped up to the plate, and I think Andy Boyle was a big plus for them coming back into the side and stuff like that. Lonergan had a good chance late on where he could have scored. Probably should have scored for Waterford FC as well, but failed to do so. But it's a very, very good result for Waterford. Derry, as I said, will be disappointed, but they'll be happy in terms of the last couple of weeks overall, I think. And the outlook still looks a bit better than it did a few weeks ago for them, in fairness there. So, yeah, great win for the Blues. Let me know what you think in the comments. Now, finally, on Saturday, this was the worst game, wasn't it, to be honest? The weekend, finished Sligo Rovers 1, Cork City 1, and a game that really sprung into life, you would say. One of them the last 20 minutes. It was a poor game, actually, up to that point, and Kit Nelson comes on and gives Cork City the lead on 76 minutes with a good finish. But, Cork City will be disappointed in the fact that Joshua Fitzpatrick, who came on, picked up a red card in the closing stages of the game with about 10 minutes to go, roughly. After you go ahead in a poor game, you're thinking the position, they're the bottom two in the league. I'm sure Tim Clancy was thinking a win here, do you know what I mean, would have had us on 13 and Sligo on 7, a 6-point buffer. But it stays at 3. Very, very disappointing to go in front, and then Joshua picking up. He's a young player and he's a good player, and he'll learn a lot from that, I think. But it was just a silly, petulant moment, wasn't it? Where he butts the Sligo Rovers player and picks up a red card, and it meant then that Cork City were definitely under the cosh for the last 10 minutes, roughly or so, and Sligo Rovers did put them under pressure, and eventually it told with Eldin heading the ball back into the area and Lamboto finishing. Did a chance at the end, Sligo, where if someone connected to that cross along the box, they could have nicked it too, which would have been brilliant for Sligo Rovers and disastrous for Cork City. But Tim will be frustrated the fact that poor game, yeah, go 1-0 up. Can you see it through? And obviously going down to 10 does not help that scenario. They can have no complaints about the red card either. But learning curve for Fitzgerald, to be fair. And I think Sligo will be relieved. They won't be happy the way they played. They would have looked at this and said, look, can we get the 3 points here? But, going into the last minute or so in the game, they're facing a situation where there'd be 5 points. Or sorry, yeah, they would have been facing a situation where there would have been 6 points off Cork City and 5 points off Waterford. And, it's plenty of points to play for and that, but it does put you under a lot of pressure. So it's a massive point for Sligo Rovers in many ways, the fact that they weren't beaten, to be honest with you. And of course, they're in a disappointing position, but still a massive point in that regard. And a defeat, could you imagine a defeat now and going to Drogheda on Friday? They'd be under serious pressure, to be honest with you. So, it's not great for them at the moment, but could have been a lot worse. Cork will be disappointed, as I said. They would have been ahead of Waterford if they won the game as well. But not a great game, to be honest with you. And, both teams want to do better. They'll want to do better. So, yeah, that's it. Let me know what you think in the comments. So, guys, that's it. Let me know what you think overall. The games over Friday and Saturday. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't subscribed. Thanks for watching once again. Bye-bye.